well, my time at least, Central European time, and we are recording. So welcome everybody to the What Have You Defined as Your Voice free Zoom with a bunch of amazing Right Voice for You facilitators. We are so happy to see so many of you here. We've had the registrations just streaming in the last few days, so we're super happy about that. And if you're listening to this afterwards to the recording, hi to everyone from the future as well. And we just wanted to create this Zoom to connect with all of you guys out there and to give you a little bit of a taste of Right Voice for You, which is a super amazing specialty program of access consciousness. And I think we have 55 facilitators all around the world creating classes like crazy. There is literally Right Voice for You classes going on in every corner of the world, basically every week and every month. So it is a really, really fun program to get to create with, and I am so grateful. And so who of the facilitators do we have here today? If all of you guys can wave or say hi or oh wow, there's a lot of us. Yay,
There's lots
I'm so happy. Thank you guys for coming on. Gosh, you guys are amazing. And we have the amazing Christopher Hughes, that is one of the co-creators of the Right Voice for You program.
That's me.
So happy that you're here.
Thank you. For some reason, my Zoom says usually that I'm Melanie Mead, because for some reason I seem to have her account running on my computer. So I'm not Melanie Mead. I'm Christopher Hughes, and it's so wonderful to meet you. I am one of the people, along with Amanda and Ashley, who's on the Zoom here as well, Ashley from Canada, who creates Right Voice for You as an entity and works with all of these amazing facilitators. As Amanda said, it's incredible to see the growth of how many of us there are now in all parts of the world, and the different takes that we all have on these classes, because Right Voice for You really is a program that can speak to so many different people and so many different situations. You hear the word voice and you think it has to do with just your voice, but actually it has to do with anywhere that you express yourself, anywhere that you are in a situation where you're communicating with other people, anywhere that you have a creative output in the world. So what's so exciting about these classes for me is it actually has a capacity to be that and so much more. And I'm sure all the other Right Voice for You facilitators here can contest to that. In terms of Right Voice for You as an entity, I'm a relative newcomer. I'm looking through my screen here, and I'm looking at people like Susanna and Lale and Yasu and Edith, and there's some facilitators that have been doing this for quite a while, and have a really different take on it than maybe I do. But that's the fun of a Zoom like this. We get to hear everyone's different point of view, different way of using these tools. So today's Zoom is about a conversation with all of us. Not just my point of view.
Yes, so please do unmute yourself and ask your questions whenever. Yes, you just press the unmute button and talk, basically. So I wonder what questions you guys have. Does anyone want to start off with a question, or what do you guys want to know? What definitions do you have of your voice, I wonder? Or if any of the facilitator wants to kick off as well with, I know there's, so, as Chris said as well, there's so many of you facilitators that are creating classes basically every weekend, and this conversation and this topic of definitions have been up in Access in general now for a while. So I wonder, the ones of you that have had classes lately, what have you been talking about regarding this topic?
If I'm not too echoey, I can start. We can see how it works. You tell me.
Sounds good now.
Awesome.
I'm undefining my echo. So the the conversation lately is something that also Gary Douglas was talking about recently in his conversation about leaders of the future. Has any of you seen that class, watched that class? Who of you has seen that? If not, I'm sure there's a way to still get that recording of that class. I can highly, highly recommend it. It was a brilliant conversation about being a leader of the future. And that so much was something that we also invite to with Right Voice for You. You know, how we tend to look at other people being the leaders and being the voice of our world. Like maybe we look at politicians, or we look at, you know, people who we think have a better education, have a title, have more money, have an education or whatever. And then we go, oh, you know, let's just have these people do the job, and, you know, they can talk and they can be busy and they can be loud and all of that, you know. And then we forget that we all know something. Each and every one of us knows something uniquely. And what we know is so valuable. And one of the things that Gary talked about in this class is that we keep forgetting how valuable we are with what we know, and how valuable we are with the voice that we have in the world. And with voice in the world, talking about defined and undefined is, you know, we always think that having a voice in the world means we have to be loud. We have to be, hello, I am this person and I have this education. I will tell you, you know, what you have to do to be successful or whatever, you know. And then you look at these people who do that. You know, there are many people who go, oh, no, I have the answer. And then you as a human, I go, if that is having a voice in the world, I don't want to have a voice in the world, because that's pretty unattractive. So we keep looking at these reference points, these so quote unquote people that we've defined as leaders, as this is how you are when you're a leader. And then when you are different in your way of being in the world, you might not want to be loud, because that's not what you have, you know, maybe that's not fun for you to be voice loud. Then you go, oh, that means I'm not a leader. That means I have nothing to say. So that's a definition. That would be an example of a definition when you think that being a leader in the world means that you have to be loud and you have to have the answer. And so everything that is, all the definitions you have of what it means to be a leader, what it means to have a voice in the world, can we please all destroy and create it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So one of the things that really inspired me with Gary's class is, what if being a leader in the world and having your voice is nothing what you ever thought, and you could find your unique way to have your voice in the world and to be the leader that you uniquely can be. So that is a conversation that we could have for a long time, but something that's really up in the air right now, especially if we look at how the world is right now. And I would say hiding you and not being you in the world and not having your voice in the world is probably not a luxury we have anymore. So the invitation from all of us is really, what do you know? What is your voice in the world? And what if you would allow yourself to have that and to enjoy that and undefine it? And maybe some other people of you want to talk more about this undefined, or what you have found that means for you. So other facilitators, what is that for you? What is different now with undefining your voice? Who else wants to say? Ina.
Thank you for starting there, Suya. It's also like with everything, it's like with money, like you see how money is being used in the world and what people are creating with it. And you're like, I had that point of view. I'm not going to have that much of money, because if that's what it creates, till I really started using the tools and getting a chance actually with my voice, with money. And it is so different than what I've seen being created in the world. And it's a daily ask and a daily question of, what do I know about money? And what do I know about creation and about marriage, or about being with someone, about people? So like Right Voice for You has been that really invitation for me to actually step into becoming more present with how do I desire to engage with the world. and how can I truly engage, which is so different than what we are taught and what we've seen other people do and what I've seen myself do in the past. So yeah, infinite possibilities. Thank you for starting there.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Susanna and Ina. And you just touched on something, Ina, that is a conversation that is so brilliant, and that it's about engaging with the world. And Chris, I love it when you talk about engaging. So maybe you want to say a few words about that.
I'd be happy to in a second. There, I think that there's a couple facilitators out there that had something to add first to Susanna's question. And I'd love to hear that first, because I don't know, there's just some information out there that I feel like there's a couple people have to add.
Yes, go for it.
I'll speak up. This has been amazing. Ina, you just blew my mind. That's awesome. One of the definitions I've always, I guess, been raised with about the voice is how it's a creative thing, but from a very defined idea of creativity. So like your voice, not just as a speaker or a singer, but it's always that like whole creative arts industry. So I was always looking how I have my voice as because I'm a quote unquote creative person. You know, I sing, I write, all that sort of stuff. And that's such a huge limitation. And I just wonder how many other people exclude themselves from believing or knowing that they have a voice because they don't see themselves in that particular way, in a creative, you know, like, oh, I'm a creative. Like, they have a decision of what's creative and what's not creative. We don't think that you can be like an analytical science person and be creative, or, you know, have a job with numbers and not be like, it's weird, and how people define themselves against that. So a lot of right voice for me has been like actually showing people, like, inviting them to see what is actually creative about them, what's creative about being on the planet. Like, if you're alive and you're awake, you are, you know, you are creative, you are creating. So that was one element I would like to contribute to the conversation.
Awesome. Who else has it?
I can say something now. It's really interesting. When I originally used to think of voice, I did have it categorized, you know, of like this is the voice if I'm in the boardroom. This is the voice if I'm, you know, talking to my kids. And one of the things I've gotten from Right Voice actually is, what if it's not about your voice at all, but includes your voice? And the greatest gift we can be when we're listening. I think a lot of times people just kind of push that to the side. But when you are actually listening, you're being you and you're exuding an energy that actually is a catalyst for change. It's a catalyst for creation. So I found like Right Voice has actually shown me I don't know, there's infinite ways, but like so many more ways where we can actually be with our voice and allow our voice out in the world. And Chris, you brought this up last year when we did a Zoom together, and it just stays in my awareness all the time, is like, to some people, their voice is their cooking. And you were talking about, I think, your grandmother. And I just realized how much that's always been the way my mom has shared her voice with the world. So what if it's not even all the things we've ever imagined, and truly getting rid of these definitions and allowing our voice, our infinite voice, to actually share all of its capacities and abilities with us? And this last weekend, I got to be with Gary in DC for the Choice of Possibilities and the Leaders class. And one of the questions he actually asked is, what other abilities, capacities, and talents do you have that you haven't chosen yet? And when he asked it, that was like one of the first things I wrote down. I was just like, it just seems like one of those things we would know. And then I was like, wow, there's so many abilities, capacities, and talents that we have with our voice and being us that I know personally I haven't yet chosen. And now I'd like to choose it and and see what else is possible. But thought I might share that with you guys as well.
That's awesome.
I can continue. For me, I have defined my voice as how I look when I talk with people. And when you are an autistic person, it can be very hard to look at people directly when you talk with them, when you speak with them. And I just realized that one day I asked Gary, I felt so wrong when I was talking with people to not look people in the eyes. And I tried to poke and prod everything. And one day I asked Gary, I said, how come I cannot look people into the eyes when I speak with them? And he says, well, because they cannot receive you. And I was like, my universe just opened up. And what I realized is when sometimes I will look at people, I will perceive so much in their universe that for me, I lose myself into this. So the best way for me to deal with that is not to look at people, is to stay in my kind of universe. And I realize that I receive so much more sometimes. And I'm in such a great, I receive so much great inspiration when I don't look at people. And because I can receive this energy. So everywhere you believe that to be a great leader or to have your voice, you have to, all the standards that you have in place will you now destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and putt, all nine shorts, woes and beyonds. What if having your voice doesn't have any definition? What would that create in your universe? What kind of space would that create in your universe? Are you ready to just open up to your, as you said, Lale, all your capacities that you have? And once we open up to this, other possibilities are available. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share for now.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Edith. Thank you so much.
I'm going to add some small, or Chris, are you?
I would like to add something.
Can I?
I wanted to add something small first about Edith, what Edith just has said. Because one of the things I find interesting is that a lot of people in a right voice class, when you ask them, what have you defined as being present or having your voice, they do say, oh yes, it's making eye contact. A great speaker makes eye contact with their audience, and that's what engagement means. But it's just as Edith says, you know, what if that wasn't always necessarily true? You know, we engage with people on so many different levels. But before we talk more about that, I can see that a couple other people had something to add to the conversation.
Yeah, so you wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for being on here. It's so cool to have all of us together. Yeah, I just did a class like 2 weeks ago in France, and where we like this thing with walking also, like what's your, like where you go into perfection and in definitions of you, even when you walk into a room or before you walk into a room. And it was so amazing to start seeing, even without using words, but you entering the room, engaging with just everything, not even looking, but just like staying present. It was so amazing to play with that energy as well in these classes. So I just wanted to add that it's even there, even when you never talk, just you being present, you entering the room and not going into that voice of like, oh, am I good enough, or is my work good enough, or what are kind of people gonna think from me? But you just staying present, and at a certain moment we did it a few times, and there was this energy where the whole room just changed from people walking by. So I just wanted to share.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Yasu. Andrea,
I would like, yes, I had something to say. Because for me, I use all the Right Voice for You tools in my photography and in my photography classes. And in pictures, we don't use our voice. It's just an image with no sound. But so I talk a lot about being present and having your barriers down and using basically all the tools that we use in Right Voice for You. And the classes that I'm preparing now are geared, a lot of them, to photographers, and I have a class coming up with Crystal talking about media. So nothing is actually using the voice as in the vocal voice as such. And the funny thing is that how we be in this world is that if we drop little seeds here and there, and the ripple effect is incredible. I just saw today actually a post on social media of a photographer that has nothing to do with Access. There's nothing about Access, but has obviously been following me and seeing what I've been writing and posting about the voice, and starting to see that other photographers are actually using the word voice as in being present in their pictures and having their pictures being seen. So it's quite interesting of how we can really change the world with whatever you do, and by being us. And for this, I'm really grateful for the Right Voice for You classes, because they can really, really, really be applied to anything, like in photography that doesn't even have anything vocal about it, for instance. So, and as Chris and everybody else said before, apply this to relationships and money and business and whatever else. So yeah, there's infinite possibilities.
Cool. So can I run a couple quick clearings for us
Yes.
around what we've been touching on? So for everybody out there, what if you defined as your voice that is not your voice? And everything that is times a godzillion, can we destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What have you defined as not your voice that actually is your voice? And everything that is times a godzillion, can we destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, with everybody so far that's been adding to this conversation and talking, and please guys, this isn't just about the facilitators. These people have a unique insight and capacity with these tools as Right Voice facilitators. But if you guys want to know something, or you have some input or something that you want to add, please jump on into the conversation. One of the things we touched on earlier was this idea of engagement. And this is one of my favorite topics, because when I first started doing working with Right Voice for You, it was a little bit confusing for me, because to be honest, when I was first asked to lead Right Voice, I'd never been to a Right Voice class. And I was like, Gary, I've never done this. What am I supposed to do? And he said, oh, don't worry. I'll get Susie to send you some of the old ones. And Right Voice for You used to be called the Create class once upon a time. And it was about a lot of different things in creation and creativity and being present and engaged in your life. And it's funny, because now one of the things we're talking about so much is this idea of engagement. What is that? So for all of you out there, what have you defined as engagement? And everything that is times a godzillion, can we destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what engagement could be, or one possibility with engagement. Because like I say, with when I started with this, I said, I've never done this. And one of the very, very first classes he ever did in the Create series, which was here in Australia as part of a facilitator class, you know, Gary gives these like one lines in a class, and he says, well, the most important thing about this is blah, 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 but none of you are going to listen. And he said in this class, he said, well, the most important thing you need to get if you want to be a Right Voice facilitator, or you want to facilitate with voice or creativity, is this idea of engagement. But none of you will ask me about that or listen. And it's true, no one did. And now here we are, 10 years later, talking about it. So what is engagement? Engagement is the willingness and capacity to be a part of the world around you. And to have the world around you be a part of you. It's like, as an infinite being that you all are, if no one told you that, then that's like a newsflash, I guess. You are part of everything around you infinitely. And it is part of you. But we walk around with judgments, we walk around with points of view and reasons to separate ourselves from everything else. And we've been running these clearings lately around definition, which are actually kind of wonderful when you want to cultivate a sense of engagement. Because every time you have a definition, if something is definite, it has a wall, it has a defined barrier, as opposed to something that is indefinite or undefined. It's sort of amorphous and doesn't have a barrier. Like, if something's definite, it's a puzzle piece that can only fit in one spot. So if you have a whole lot of definitions in place about you or about people around you or situations or places, you kind of negate the possibility of having oneness with everything else. So everything where I'm willing to perceive, know, be, and receive with that, can we destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So it's like, I loved what Edith was talking about with engagement. And if for anybody that is a little bit autistic, like most of you, it's not about making eye contact. It's not about what they teach you in Toastmasters about, these are the rules of how to speak well. You stand a certain way and you breathe deeply and you make eye contact. It's funny. See, I do the same voice that Susanna does. Everyone does that when they're putting on their right voice. So everything you've defined as engagement, can we destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And everything you've defined as not engagement, can we destroy and uncreate all that? Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So that's my take on engagement in a nutshell. Does anyone else have anything they could add to that or want to say to that?
Well, I could add something that just popped in my awareness now, that when we have these definitions of, and it can be anything, right? It's not just definitions of us, it's definitions of how it is to be in certain places or how it is to talk to certain people. Like, when we have these definitions and points of view in place, we do put up those walls and barriers. And I had a conversation the other day with a friend of mine that I've introduced a little bit to the tools of right voice and the tools of access, but not much at all. And we were dropping him off at the airport, and he all of a sudden became very stressed, and we just talked about, okay, so what does it mean to you to actually be at an airport, and how aware are you of everyone else's definition of what it is to be at an airport, and so on. And after a while it became lighter. So it's definitions of everything. Like, because when we talk about definitions, for me at least, the thing that comes up the most and the things that feels most obvious to me is the definitions that I have of myself, but it's also the definitions of everything else and everyone else, and how we engage, and also the definition of engagement in itself, as you were just talking about so brilliantly. And for me, the definition of engagement has always, I've had a definition of it and a judgment attached of myself, because I'm not living up to my own definition of what it actually is. So everywhere that you've had a definition of something and then judge yourself because you're not living up to your definition of, whatever it is, we destroy and then create all of that. my own goodbye popcorn shorts, boys and beyonds.
Someone's just written in the chat bar, is engagement a 10-second choice? Absolutely. I mean, one of the coolest conversations I had in my class this past weekend was we had a few people from Access who've been around doing classes for like 10, 12 years. And I noticed in their world there were places where they had decided that they had got certain things, like they knew what receiving was, and they knew what having no point of view was, and they had definitions in their world about what those things were, which is why I opened up this conversation on engagement as, yeah, that's how I'm looking at it right now, but what does everyone else see, and what else could it be? Because everything in your life, if you want to live undefined, has got to be a 10-second choice. There's nothing set or fixed in stone or good for whatever. It's like the example that I give is how I see it right now and what is creating change for people and what has created change for me. But what is engagement for you? Because it's not about one way or one way for the future. It's what's going to, what is it for you and what is going to create the most?
Yeah, and Chris, when you talk about this, and Amanda, when you guys listen, this whole conversation about undefining you and undefining your voice, it can be pretty. I don't know if the word is correct in English. Unsatisfactory for your mind. It's like, yeah, but what are you guys talking about? What do you mean? And what should we do now? And hello, what are you guys talking about? Because our things up here in the north, they love definitions. I mean, they live on definitions. And now we say, and by the way, a definition would be if you say, I am good at da 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 da. I am bad at da 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 da. Like that would be an example of a definition. And then you go and filter every information that you see all day long through these things. I am good at, I'm bad at, I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am this, I am that. Like all of these things are just like, you see nothing but those definitions. And now when we talk about engaging with the world, like imagine if you go through the world every day with those things, with those filters in your brain, I am this, I am that. Like it's like a big wall between you and the world that keeps you from engaging with every possibility that wants to come your way. So let's say you ask for money. Universe, hey, what's possible to create more money? And then you have in your head, I am a poor person. I am bad at creating money, and then you just ask for money. Like, and the universe goes, here. And you go, no. I am bad at having money. And the universe goes, yeah, but you ask for money. Here it is. No. You don't understand, universe. I am bad at money. I suck at money. Like those definitions are like this big walls between you and engaging with everything you just ask for. So basically, every time you ask for a possibility, hey, universe, oops, what's possible? Destroying my lamp. And then the universe goes, here. And you go, no. So that's how that thing works. That's why we talk about this undefining you and your voice, because it keeps you from receiving everything you're asking for. And engaging is not like talking to everybody and going to your taxi driver or to the mail person, hey, how you can, if you want, you can talk, but engaging is not just talking. Engaging is being. So you can wake up in the morning and you can engage with the world in your bed. I mean, hello, how convenient is this? You can like just energetically like perceive your body. You can perceive the whole world, the whole universe, while you are in your bedroom, and go, hey, universe, world, molecules around. Wow, what grand and glorious adventures can I have today? The question you have in your foundation manual, in your bars manual, at the very back of the manual, you have questions there that are bold, like really like amazing questions. all of these questions are designed for you to engage with the world. Like, who am I today, and what grand and glorious adventures will I have today? That's engaging with the world. What else is possible? How does it get any better in this? All of these questions are about engaging with the world. Every question, if it's a real question, is about engaging with the world. So everywhere you've decided you can't do this, everywhere you go, oh my God, I have to do a gazillion access classes before I can start engaging with the world. Will you please just join and create it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. Over and out.
Brilliant. Thank you, Susanna.
I thought creating engagement with someone was when you gave them a ring. And you said, will you marry me? And then you're engaged. Isn't that it? No? I'm a little confused. Maybe someone else should talk.
I like it though. When you first said that, Chris, I was like, ooh, if everyone can give us diamonds and rings, that would be fun and engaging.
I'm cool. Up for that one. I'm signing up for that engagement.
But that's cool. Sorry.
Oh, you go, Doris.
No, I just want to say, Lala is going to the, if everyone gives me jewelry, it's amazing. But there's also the part in it, I don't want to be married to everyone. You know, it's funny where everyone would go with this, what you said.
Oh, no, that's not what I said. I was looking at it as engaging with the molecules, engaging with everything of the oneness of the universe. And it also included when people thought in their mind they're engaging, they're giving me jewelry. Not marrying everyone. Let's disclaimer that one.
No, I didn't say that you said that. What Chris said, everyone would see it differently. You know, you go to jewelry, another person would go to, no, I don't want to marry everyone. I don't want this engaging part. You know, where you stop it. And what I want to add is yesterday, I think it was the right voice for you, Desla, our amazing team here. I saw someone post a comment that said, stop hiding, we already see you. And Amanda I saw it. And this was big in my world, and amazing, like, information of, if you would look at this, we see you. And if it's also about the energy and of the being of you, even if you don't talk, even if you think you're hiding or you're not good enough or you're not brilliant enough in something, what if you could acknowledge it, because other people already see you? And it's much easier. It takes so much effort to take you back. And it's much easier also to engage and have this receiving and lying in bed in the morning, like Susanna says, with all of you and with not hiding. And I just wanted to throw it out because it was so beautiful. I don't know how many people saw it, that we think we are hiding or no one is seeing us, but most of the time, maybe you are the one that is not seeing you, but a lot of other people are seeing you and are grateful for you and want you to have more and show up as you. And this is something that requires the acknowledgement of yourself, that it requires that you just have the question of what gift I am that I haven't received yet, and also including, like, the universe, or asking the universe, please help me with this and show me what gift I am. So I love all of these conversations, and this morning I had a conversation with Ina as well, where you can go anywhere, and being undefined or choosing to be undefined, there's no wrongness in have definition as well. Like, if you have your definition, you have your definition. If it's in your way and it's limiting you, you might wanna get rid of it. And sometimes it's also funny to see, oh my God, like, how cute am I to go with this definition? If you want to change something. and being willing to see it and to not make you wrong. And sometimes it's also good to know what other people require. You can play with definitions. Sometimes it's in your way, but sometimes it's all good to use a definition to manipulate other people or to get whatever you want, to use the definition they require from you to go along. And so there's a lot of playfulness with it where nothing is wrong. And because sometimes with these conversations we have, it's like, oh my God, how many definitions do I have? And I get rid of everything. I would say, or I think a lot of you, it's more of being honest with you and just look at it and being in the question that you can see it where you would have definitions. And then you can have the choice of going with your definitions or changing it.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you, Doris, for adding that. I was just gonna, when you were talking as well, the one thing that popped for me as well was just the thing of choice. And that comes with you being willing to be aware and not judge anything, right? So if something after this conversation for all of you guys here, like if it shows up like, oh my God, I have definitions of myself everywhere and I'm defining my relationship and my life and my business and everything. Okay, cool. So how does it get any better than that? Again, as Susanna said so brilliantly, go to question, because that also opens up. So what if none of it was wrong? And I also love the conversation of how can I use this to my advantage?
I got a great question here from someone that was sent to me privately, but I'm sure it's for everybody. So any tools, tips to unhide and show up in every area of my life? And it's, okay, so just the very question. You know how we always think that we have to do so much? Like, okay, I'm going to work. This is my new project. I'm going to unhide myself. Watch out, universe. It's like, and then, we think we have to work and what tools should we use? Like the tools of access are not designed for this to be work. It's opening up new space. So just by having a request of, hey, I would like to unhide myself and show up in every area of my life, just acknowledging that you have that request of you and you have that demand in your world of, hey, I would like to unhide and show myself and show up in every area of my life. Just by that, you have already started. So all of you, like, what request do you have for you, for any change in any area of your life? What request do you have right now? And just by having that request, would you acknowledge that you already started? Just that question of, hey, what would it take for me to change whatever it is? That is already the start of the change. Okay, so everywhere you haven't acknowledged that, everywhere you think, oh my God, I have to work, I have to work, will you please destroy and uncreate it? All right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. It always starts with a question. Amanda just, gave that ball over, like the question. It always starts with a question. That's already engaging with the universe and starting to change. I was reading the How to Become Money workbook today. If you haven't read that book, oh my God, it's so brilliant. That book is, by the way, really a great tool to practice engaging with the world. Like that is one of the books where you just get that download of, okay, how can I engage with the world? What's that energy like? You're not about defining, but just like getting that feel, that energy of, okay, wow, it always starts with a question. And when I ask, things already start moving. So what are you asking for? And everywhere you haven't acknowledged that is already starting to be created and actualized in your world, again, will you please destroy and create it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, meons. So do any of you other guys have anything about this unhiding, showing up in the world, any tools?
Yeah, this awesome thing to look at, because again, reading through one of the old classes with Gary, from a transcript, he said, the purpose of Right Voice for you is to get you to the point where you're facing these stage frights or anxieties or fear or whatever it is, and being willing to go, fuck it, and do it anyway. It's like, I made this video for one of the last classes I did was in Dublin, and it was one of the first classes I've done solo, and I was like, oh, I'm like a virgin. And I went, oh, like a virgin, Madonna. So I put on a blonde wig and I sang Madonna in a video on Facebook, and I filmed it, and I went, am I just being an idiot here? Like, shouldn't a facilitator like have deep and meaningful conversations and offer people valuable tools and be serious? See, Susanna, we've got the same right voice, facilitator voice. And I showed the video to a friend of mine who was hosting the class, and she said, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I went, oh, good point. Send. And sent it out there, not worrying about what everyone's going to think and whether some people are going to be pissed off or some people are going to think I'm an idiot or some people are going to judge me. It's being willing to get out there and be you, no matter what gets projected at you, no matter what people align and agree with, no matter what people are going to reject, and just choosing anyway. Be you, exactly. That's my 2 cents. What other facilitator has something to add to that, or anybody?
Who's going to take the ball? I just saw the question as well from John in the chat. What do you do when you get stuck? And I think you just said it brilliantly, Chris. It's that willingness to just like, okay, fine, I'm stuck. Fuck it, I'm just going to go for it anyway. And just jump off that cliff. And yeah, I love that question that you just said, Chris. What's the worst thing that can happen? Like this, it's not many situations where there is an actual catastrophe that could happen if you make that choice. And for me, it's also just, again, back to those 10-second increments and those 10-second choices. Okay, sure, I'll choose it. Let's see what happens. And then if it doesn't turn out that well, okay, fine, whatever. I'll choose something else. Yeah,
exactly. And also, like, you know, the thing of unhiding, and then what usually shows up for people is like, oh my God, I might be judged. And then, you know, and then if you really ask yourself, so truth, and you can all do this for yourself. So truth, are other people's judgments really relevant for me? Really, do I really care that much about other people's judgments? Or have I been pretending to care a lot about other people's judgments because that makes me normal? And if you look at that for you, and honestly, do I really care about other people's judgments? And if you are at a Zoom, is this called a Zoom? Online thingy that we're now, and we're talking about undefining a voice. If you have the courage to be at a Zoom like this with crazy people like all of us, I might really ask truth. Do I really care about other people judging me? Just like one thing you could just ask yourself.
I love that, Susanna. Oh, go ahead, Ina.
Just quickly. I just like what Susanna was talking about. Like, it's funny, right? Because we have these notions about ourselves, like definitions again, I guess. So we had I was on a call today with a bunch of people doing the Home of Infinite Possibilities book club. Oh my God, amazing. Get the book. But, and she was like, I have this thing that I dynamically hide myself and I would like to change. And the more she was saying it, like her world was like becoming heavier. So I was like, wait a minute. Have you ever successfully managed to hide yourself? And she was laughing for the next 5 minutes. And it's like her entire world sort of expanded. And she was like, no, but my parents didn't accept me, or this thing didn't happen, and that. So I was like, have they ever been successful in hiding you? She was like, no. So it's like really the willingness to look at, what are you telling yourself? Is that even real to you? And what is really going on? And what's true for you that you haven't really acknowledged? Because anything that's light, we know this true forever, not forever. It seems like forever. But like anything that's light is true for you. And anything that's heavy is not. And that's more about awareness and getting a sense of hey, like when I'm saying something to myself, like what Susanna was saying, I'm a poor guy, or I'm like, I don't have money, or, and is that lightening up your world or is it contracting it? Then who does it belong? Like, is it yours or someone else's? And what if you're just aware? I love these tools. I'm so freaking grateful for all of you. And I just wanted to add one more thing. I know I said it was quickie, but when we were all talking, I can hear everyone talking, and it's amazing. I just absolutely love this. Like on other Zooms, you sometimes hear like, there's nothing happening, no question. But it's so amazing that everyone on the call is like, has so much to say, and that we hear you, and we're receiving it. And what else is possible? And thank you for actually having that voice, and that even if you're not voicing it, you're actually saying it. And you know. Thank you. Over to you, Lale.
I think you actually nailed it better than I would have said it anyway. When John asked that question, I always ask, when he said when you get stuck or whatever, the first thing I go to is that tool of who does it belong to? And I know sometimes it really feels, and I'm using feeling for that on purpose, but it feels like it's yours. But remember, like 99.9% of things aren't ours. So I flip it to how much more aware have I just become that I haven't acknowledged? And if I was willing to add more allowance, what else would be possible to turn this molecule or funk or stress or, whatever that is, to actually flip it 180 degrees? And then my world is so much even more space. And I tend to have more tickling actually in my body because it is truly not mine. And once again, I've acknowledged my capacities, my abilities of actually being aware. And, the question Gary asks all the time is, how much fun can you have with this? And I think that's the one thing that I'd like to remember more often, because it is like, if we're willing not to make anything significant, anyone significant or serious, we can actually have fun with it. And then you get to enjoy when people judge you. You get to lower your barriers, receive it, and make a heck of a lot more money in your bank account too. So I'm just wondering how much more fun you guys can have being you, sharing your voice with the world. And in whatever capacity that is, whether it is that video Chris talked about, it's writing something, or just standing and just being you, whatever that might be for you. So that's all.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lale. And it was so cool, like both when you, Ina, and you, Lale, were talking now, like, and this whole thing with Chris and the Madonna singing thing. And it's just this energy of playfulness. And like, really, as you just said, Lale, so brilliantly, like, what if nothing has to be significant? And even when we find these definitions of ourselves and we go into like, oh my God, I've been defining myself, or I am defining myself. Okay, how can I flip that to my advantage, or how can I look at it from a different point of view? I'm seeing like a little kid in front of me that just takes a phone, and like, oh, what is this? And turning it upside down and inside out, and just examines it with such a sense of curiosity. What if it can be that, even with our walls and limitations and definitions, and just, yeah, it doesn't have to be significant. It doesn't have to be hard. It can actually be fun. Yeah. So do we have any more questions from you guys? We have like 5 more minutes. Chris, go for it.
Yeah, we have a question here in the chat from Rabia saying, can you guys talk about physical voice changes? My voice physically being what it would really like to be. With singing and talking, can the physical voice be changed? Okay, so again, love to open this question up to everybody. My quick take on that is, changing anything from a point of view and a judgment of what it is never really works. It's like if you decide your voice is too nasally or whatever, it doesn't work to change it just from the point of view of that's wrong. what if you could just have allowance for your voice, how it shows up, and not try to make it into something else? Ironically, this is called right voice for you, but it's not about changing your voice necessarily. What I have noticed with people is, as they step out of definition, as they step out of judgment of them, and as they step out of a point of view of their voice, it quite often does shift and change into something else. But not from a point of view of what it should be, just from it allowed to be what it wants to be.
Chris, it's so funny that
really, oh, sorry. I just wanted to add to that, Chris, because I got this really cool way of looking at that when I was actually at the essay class with Andrew Gardella, and because a lot of the stuff we're talking about is like the points of view that you take that actually lock things into your body. So what and like you said, when you're looking to change something from the point of view that you've got a problem or there's something wrong, you can't change it because you've got that judgment there. So he said, what if you would unfix your fixed point of view? Rather than trying to fix your problem or fix what you think you've got wrong, what if it's like playing with unfixing the fixed point of view? And that's really like an interesting point of view. I have this point of view, or asking a question, or having gratitude for you and your voice, or any of these like tools that actually allow you to get out of the judgment that you've got wrong and actually start unlocking and unfixing the fixed points of view. So what if you had some fun with that? And then it makes it a lot easier to, it's more fun and easy to change things when you're not trying to fix something. And when you're unfixing a fixed point of view, you've got the adventure of, wow, what is that? What do I do with that? Can I change this? And if so, how can I change it?
I don't know who else wanted to say something. So, like if you want to change your voice and you have a point of view about your voice, it's really hard to change anything if you have a point of view. Like Amanda just said about the fixing and unfixing. It's like if you want to change any size of your body part and you go, change body part, that's not like a very inviting, change space. So it's like if you have a fixed point of view about how something should look like or sound like or be like, creating any change is really, 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 really hard work. And it's like if you have a problem and you go and you've decided this is a problem, and then you try to fix the problem, like Amanda talked, have a fixed point of view and try to fix the problem, like all you create is like pain and suffering and more of that you don't want. But if you go and ask, hey, what is it I would really like to create here? Like, is it really about changing the sound of my voice? Or what is it I would actually like to create? What's that bigger thing beyond the not nice, like the point of view about the voice? What is it I would like to create with my voice in the world? And if you get that energy, wow, what is it I would like to open up in the world? What do I like to, how can I use my voice to create a change in the world? You go, oh, wow, I would like to inspire people. I would like to do this and that. And then that energy opens up a space of creation where any change in the voice sound becomes a side effect.
The thing with the physical voice that I've noticed is that I speak several languages, and Swedish being one of them, and I really cannot stand, I really have a very fixed point of view about my voice in Swedish, and because I feel that I cannot be me, I cannot express myself, and I basically cannot have my voice heard in Swedish. So there's a very simple solution to that I've noticed, is that in certain situations I basically refuse to speak Swedish. To new clients, for instance, I will just start speaking English, and they will speak Swedish among them, and I will reply to their comments in Swedish, and they will go, but you understand? And I'll go, yes, I do understand, and I do speak it, but I'd rather not. So it's also the choice of tapping into whatever your voice that is going to create the most actually is in those particular 10 seconds. And in the other 10 seconds, speaking Swedish for me would actually create something greater. So regardless whether you speak one language or 20 languages, is really the willingness to be in the energy that will create the most with your physical voice, since that's what we're talking about right now.
So my voice actually physically changed in the last 1 year since I started doing Right Voice for You.
That's awesome. In what way? Tell us more.
It was more of like a childish baby voice earlier, and Casey saw me a year later, and she couldn't even recognize me in class, and I kept trying to look at her and smile at her, and it's like she wouldn't even see me, and then she heard me talk in class, and then she's like, "Oh my God, that's you! How have you changed so much?" It was really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sonat. Cool. So do we have any more questions? We're at the top of the hour, guys. This went by really fast. Anyone with more questions? And I should have probably mentioned this in the beginning, but I'm saying it now in the end. Like, if any of you that are on here have never heard anything about Access Consciousness or Right Voice for You, because this is open Zoom for everyone. We just kind of went for it, which is what tends to happen. And I'm sure that most of you do know, but if any of you that are watching in the future as well, there is loads of information to find. You can go to accessconsciousness.com, rightvoiceforyou.com. We have Right Voice for You on YouTube with a bunch of videos. And yeah, if you go to rightvoiceforyou.com, you will also find all the facilitators, and you can connect with them privately if you want to. And yeah, there's a lot of different possibilities. So please don't hesitate if you have questions, if you want to know more. We are here to contribute to all of you, and would love to answer your questions and talk to you more.
I think as well, if I can just add, I was so excited the other day when Amanda brought up that in the coming months, there's something like 26 Right Voice for You masterclasses coming up around the world with the different Right Voice for You Platinum facilitators.
Yes.
So for those of you out there, no matter where you are, there may be one near you if you want to have a look at what's going on online. There's lots in Europe, in South America, in North America, Australia, Europe, Asia, even. Like, just get online and see what's out there and who's near you if you want to experience one of these classes.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Chris. And the amazing thing with Right Voice for You classes as well is that they have no prerequisites. Anyone can come and join. And we have a 1-day class with different topics, and we have a 3-day master class that is really amazing. And yeah, it's really open for everyone.
And some of them are live streamed, so you can attend them from anywhere.
Exactly. How does it get better? So thank you so much, everyone that came on. This was a lot of fun. And thank you to all the facilitators. You guys are amazing. Super grateful to be creating with you all. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And please watch your inboxes. I will make sure that the recording's sent out within the next 48 hours to 24 hours.
Yes. So you can watch again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.